Guilford Courthouse National Military Park is located in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's situated between two city parks, the Tannenbaum Historic Park to the west and the Greensboro Country Park, which extends to the south. This military park stands as a memorial to what is seen as a pivotal battle of the Revolution, contributing to the eventual British surrender at Yorktown 7 months later. While the Park Service has made considerable effort to preserve as much of the battlefield as possible, development around the park has taken its toll over the last 200 years. As a result, the landscape has changed considerably. What is now a sprawling cityscape of shopping centers and subdivisions was at one time light forest and farmland. The courthouse, from which the town derived its name, was little more than a log cabin which no longer exists. The battle took place roughly along New Garden Road between the Hoskins Farm and Guilford Courthouse. Rudy Fork Road was used as the retreat route from Guilford Courthouse after the battle. The Rudy Fork Road and the location of the courthouse are no longer known and are simply sketched in based on historic maps and early descriptions of the landscape. The American forces were led by Rhode Island native General Nathaniel Greene. General Greene divided his forces into 3 defensive lines with the intent of diluting the British forces until they could be engaged by Continental regular forces. The 3rd line is situated along a ridge at the town of Guilford Courthouse. These troops are the best of Greene's Continental forces, with artillery support between the Virginia and Maryland regiments. The 2nd line is Virginia Militia, which flanks New Garden Road. They have orders to hold the British for as long as possible. They are encouraged by sharpshooters who have orders to shoot deserters or anyone retreating too soon. The 1st line is made up of North Carolina militia, flanked by Continental infantry and cavalry, with artillery support on New Garden Road. The North Carolina militia are ordered to fire 2 volleys and then fall back. The British forces, led by General Cornwallis, approach from the west. They are made up of a collection of British infantry, grenadiers, and Hessians, backed up by Lieutenant Colonel Bannister Tarleton's cavalry and artillery support. Now, let's begin the battle. Around 1 p.m., after a brief artillery duel, the British begin their march against the 1st American line. The North Carolina militia and Continental forces wait behind a fence line. The well-disciplined British forces are halted by a blast of about 1,500 muskets, but quickly regroup. With the sight of the approaching British column bristling with bayonets, the North Carolina militia is first in flight. Some militia members return to their homes, while others link up with the Virginia militia. The flanking Continentals fall back to positions alongside the Virginia militia. As the British forces approach the 2nd line, the 1st Battalion Guards and the Von Bosse Regiment pursue Campbell's riflemen and Lee's cavalry to the south. The Virginia militia put up a longer fight, scattering into the woods and attacking the British as they pass. The British eventually break through the 2nd line. Washington's cavalry moves to the southern portion of the American 3rd line. Tarleton's cavalry are sent south to relieve the 1st Battalion Guards, which pursued Lee and Campbell. The Jaegers, Light Infantry, and 33rd advance unsupported into the American 3rd line and are pushed back by musket and bayonet counterattacks. The 2nd Battalion launches another unsupported attack into the untested 2nd Maryland Regiment. The Green 2nd Marylanders, inexperienced, barely fire a shot before running. The unsupported British 2nd Battalion is quickly set upon by Washington's cavalry and the 1st Maryland Regiment. Cornwallis, seeing his 2nd Battalion in danger, took action to rescue them. He ordered grape shot to be fired into the melee. The blasts tear through men on both sides, but the desired results are achieved. Many hapless British soldiers are saved, and the American southern flank is broken by this controversial action. General Greene eventually orders a retreat to the north, using the Rudy Fork Road as an escape route. The American forces make camp at the Speedwell Ironworks to the north, leaving the British clean up after the battle. What you have just seen is a generalized reconstruction of the Battle of Guilford Courthouse, based on historic maps and writing. Next you will see the battle from a unique perspective, one that provides modern-day park visitors with a spatial context they can relate to. This is especially meaningful in light of the surrounding city development. With that, let's view the battle from the spatial reality of 2001. Just east of the Brassfield Shopping Center, the British start their advance from the intersection of Battleground Avenue and New Garden Road. They march through the Child Time Daycare Center, Tannenbaum Historic Park, apartments, and townhomes, eventually meeting the American First Line at the National Military Park's western boundary. Breaking through the first line, the British have entered the national park, cross over the visitor center and park housing to advance against the second American line. Continuing their assault, the British break through the second line. The battalion guards in Von Bo's regiment pursue Campbell's riflemen and Lee's cavalry into the Forest Lawn Cemetery. Tarleton eventually joins the pursuit, relieving the 1st Battalion guards. The American Third Line straddles the park's northern boundary, spilling into the Hamptons apartment complex. The Jaegers, Light Infantry, and 33rd advance against the Third Line from the northern residential area, but are quickly rebuffed, retreating back into the plots of single-family homes. In the park to the south, the 2nd Battalion charges the southern section of the American line and find themselves the filling of a soldier sandwich. Cornwallis applies a general peppering and grape shot, extricating his wayward men. Finding themselves overwhelmed, Greene orders a retreat, leaving their cannon to be captured. His men move north through the Hamptons apartment complex, parallel to Lawndale Avenue to the east. Although the troop movements and positions are really just best guesses, based on overlaying historic and modern maps, then filling in the gaps with the historic record, it is hoped that park visitors would have a better understanding that the roads they drive on, homes they live in, and businesses they patronize around the existing National Military Park to some degree sit upon land that once played a part in the American Revolution.